Okay, real talk. What if the way we think we're resisting capitalism is actually screwing us over? What if rejecting money entirely is one of the reasons we can't build the change we know is possible? Hey, loves, I'm Edgar Fabian Frias, and welcome back to Your Art is a Spell. And today we're diving deep into something I like to call punk damage. That voice in your head that says that making any sort of money is selling out. And by the end of this video, I'm going to share the exact mindset shifts that helped me go from broke, burned out, activist to financially stable changemaker without selling my soul. So my own personal love for counterculture started when I studied abroad in England. This was during my undergrad. I went to Leeds, England, and there I met a crew of queer and trans anarchists who were living in a squatted house or an abandoned house. At the time, England allowed people to live in abandoned homes, and if they took care of these homes well enough for long enough, they got to keep these homes. They got to stay inside of there. These queer and trans people were dumpster diving, they were freegans, aka they ate whatever they could find, they were living off the grid. We shared meals by candlelight, food that they rescued from supermarket bins. We turned broken furniture into altars. We made magic in spaces that capitalism had abandoned. That time fully changed my life. I got to experience this way of living for the first time ever and got to see that these weren't just ideas, they could be lived experiences that could impact and help you create a sense of identity and community. And when I came back to the United States, I was all in. I moved to Portland, Oregon. I helped to organize grassroots community-based events that were fully funded by the community. We had music festivals in abandoned warehouses. We collaborated with nonprofits. I was so into this idea that we did not need money to build sustainable movements. I've also worked as a domestic violence counselor. I've worked for nonprofit social work agencies. And throughout all of it, I really had this belief that money is corrupt, it is evil. If you're comfortable, you have sold out. If you are successful, you are compromised. This is something that I heard so much in all of those spaces I just mentioned, from underground music and art scenes to the nonprofit sector. This is what I call punk damage. This is an ethos where many of us who are building a better world, trying to ameliorate the consequences of capitalism, we also internalize this message that money is bad and that if you have money, you are also bad. Tell me if this sounds familiar to you. If you're not broke, tired, and miserable, are you even doing activism right? And here's the truth about punk damage. It accidentally serves the status quo perfectly. My wake-up call: pulled hard numbers. According to the Human Rights Campaign, LGBTQ plus Latinx women earn about 72 cents to every dollar that a non-Latinx woman earns. Trans women earn about 60 cents for that dollar. Native American LGBTQ folks, even less. I had a moment when I realized I'm not just broke because I'm radical. I'm broke because this system is literally designed to keep people like me underpaid and disempowered. And then when you add to that an internalized anti-capitalist shame around money, you actually start to reinforce that same level of oppression towards yourself. We start believing that financial stability equals selling out, that precarity equals integrity, and that struggle means you care. But what we're really doing is burning out, underfunding our movements, and keeping ourselves at the margins. And let me be clear, capitalism is trash in so many ways, but rejecting money does not solve the issues found within capitalism. It just keeps us broke inside of it. Here's the gut punch. Punk damage actually ends up reinforcing privilege. Think about it. Who can afford to work for free, to live precariously for years? Usually folks who have safety nets, family wealth, generational support, a place to crash when things fall apart. Meanwhile, those of us from marginalized backgrounds with no nest egg, no wealthy parents, no backup plan, we burn out. We end up leaving those spaces. We disappear. One of my closest friends, a brilliant Latinx organizer, had to quit her community job just to survive, while others with way more access stayed behind preaching anti-capitalism from the comfort of their inherited homes. That's not just hypocrisy, it is a structural problem. And if we don't name it, we keep just reproducing the same harm that we claim to be fighting against. So healing our punk damage, that's not just about us. It's about making our movements more diverse, more sustainable, and actually able to win. About 5 years ago, I had this moment sitting alone in my apartment, lights off to save money, guilt flooding me for wanting more stability, when a question just came through. What if having more actually helps me to give more? I started looking at movements that created lasting change. Labor unions with credit unions, civil rights groups building economic power, indigenous movements with resource sovereignty. These were not baroque movements, they were resourced ones. And that's when it hit me that there's a false binary. Either you're pure and broke or you've sold out. But we all know that here on this podcast, we like to take binaries and transcend them, find other ways of working with them. And I want to just say that money is a tool. And if the only people who have access to this tool are the ones who don't share our values, then how are we ever going to build the world we want? Here are the things that helped me start to heal from my punk damage. First, I needed to redefine success. Success is not about abandoning your values, it's about gaining the resources to amplify them. What does your version of ethical success look like? I also needed to embrace strategy. The best changemakers think long term. Start seeing yourself as a money witch, a wealth steward, a liberator of hoarded resources. You also need to create new models. Use financial stability to build mutual aid networks, cooperatives, new systems. For the first time in my life, I finally have a retirement plan and a savings funds to support myself in the future, as well as artists and causes that I love. Practice sustainable activism. You cannot pour from an empty cauldron. Self-care is not selfish, it is strategic. Build collective power. The more resourced we are, the more we can support others. I think of folks that I admire who have resources and share them. These are people who have created ways to share their resources and build wealth within their communities. People leveraging money to redistribute power. If I could go back to my younger, squatting, idealistic punk self, I would say this: you're not a sellout for wanting peace. You're not betraying your values for wanting to eat well and sleep soundly. You're entering a world that was not built for you. But baby, you are powerful enough to remake it. The greatest act of resistance might just be thriving while also dismantling the system, because the world does not need more broke, burnt out activists. It needs resourced, rested, and powerful visionaries like you. So let's flip the script. Let's make healing, wealth, and sustainability a part of our liberation toolkit. Just remember that sustainability is sacred. Never forget that you are allowed to thrive and we need you whole. I'd love to hear your thoughts about punk damage, how you have experienced it yourself, what you've learned about money, and also how you would like to think about money going forward, especially after listening to this episode. If this hits home, I want to invite you to sign up to my newsletter by going to yourartisaspell.com. You can also send me a question via email or through voice by going to speakpipe.com/yourartisaspell. If you're watching this on YouTube, I want to invite you to leave me a comment, leave a review, subscribe, and never forget that your art is a spell and it will change your life and the world around us. Bye.